Yeah, a lot of times we will hear, I would like to have more sex, but I'm just exhausted all the time. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted and it's like, oh, let's just go to bed. So that is common. If you experience that, that's how most people live their lives.
Welcome to Look Good, Feel Good with Matt and Amy McKinlay, the podcast where we bring you expert advice and honest, real talk on health, wellness, and feeling your absolute best. From hormone optimization to aesthetics and everything in between, we're here to help you live your best life. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Look Good, Feel Good with Matt and Amy. I'm Amy.
And I'm Matt. Thank you. I meant welcome, not thank you. That goes at the end.
We are talking about a real conversation, one that too many women whisper about and rarely gets asked in the exam room. It's why don't I want sex anymore? Or why can't I reach orgasm like I used to? So first of all, you're not broken. A lot of women feel this way. You're definitely not alone. The loss of desire, difficulty reaching orgasm is incredibly common, especially during menopause and perimenopause. We see a lot of this, and it's very treatable. And once you understand what's really going on inside your body, it's easy to fix.
Yeah, and it can be super emotional too. I don't think anyone wants to have a poor, intimate relationship with their spouses or significant others. So it's something that when the conversation starts, it's almost like people breathe a sigh of relief because they're like, oh, this can be addressed and it can be fixed. And it changes lives and relationships.
And it's vulnerable to talk about, but once you start talking about it, you get down to really what's going on, and why does pleasure change over time? As women, our bodies do change and they're constantly shifting. Our hormones are changing. Estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, all play a key role in sexual health and arousal and orgasm. So when estrogen declines, our vaginal tissue becomes thinner. It's not as lubricant. And, so there's friction, sometimes discomfort during sex. Testosterone levels will drop. Will also, so does libido and motivation to want to have sex. And that natural spark or desire kind of goes away. Add on stress, add on poor sleep, add on all your kids, and your brain simply just doesn't prioritize the same. Intimacy is kind of put on the back burner, but biology isn't destiny. We can absolutely restore balance.
Yeah, and I would say by far and away, the biggest difference is when women get their testosterone levels at a healthy level where they just feel good, and it really helps with intimacy. It's a big deal. It not just desire, but even, like Amy mentioned, some of the physical discomforts or stressors, like painful sex for women, not having that spark or desire. Testosterone replacement plays a huge role. And I always tell patients that it's not about the desire or wanting, because most people have that. It's really about the chemistry. And when hormone levels are low, the chemistry is off and it doesn't give you that desire or the want. And when it's optimized, it just changes everything dramatically. It makes people just feel so much better, not just through sex, but a relationship. I have someone that's super, super close to me, told me he and his wife right now have the best relationship romantically, but also overall they've had in over 35 years of marriage. And hearing things like that, he said, hey, if nothing else with your program, this has made us become closer together. He's mentioned many other huge benefits, but he said that has made the biggest difference in our relationship. Yeah. And that's a big deal for everyone.
Well, yeah, sex is very important in any relationship, but it's sometimes hard to talk about. So, how hormones affect arousal and orgasm. So we talked a little bit about, estrogen for women. What it does is it keeps the vaginal tissues elastic, hydrated, and sensitive. And as we go through perimenopause, menopause, we just don't make that anymore. So getting optimized on estrogen, estradiol is what we talk about. Estriol, we'll talk a little bit about estriol, which is in vaginal tissue. Testosterone, optimizing our testosterone levels, drives libido, intensity of orgasm. People that have a hard time orgasming, it's a lot of times due to testosterone levels being low. Progesterone helps calm us down, helps the nervous system calm down so the body can actually relax enough to experience pleasure. And so, when those levels fall, blood flow decreases, nerve endings become, a lot less responsive, and the result is less sensation, more frustration, and sometimes even pain. So, but the great news is that, these changes are reversible. And when we address the root cause, which is hormone imbalance, we can fix these things. We can make sex can become fun, it can become pleasurable, and it can restore a lot of relationships.
Yeah, it's one of the most rewarding things we do, and this is one of the reasons we absolutely love working with couples when they're in a visit together and they both kind of talk. And usually, again, it's the wife or the female dragging her husband in, and then they start to open up a little bit, and the husband generally kind of shies away from it at first. But when it opens up a little bit, it's almost magical. Like, we hear things like, we didn't realize how much we'd lost in our relationship until we got it back. And just restoring that connection with each other and the confidence. And it's almost like dropping back 25 years and dating again and just having that spark back. It's pretty unbelievable when hormones can really change relationships.
So what can you do? We talk a little bit about, some of the simple solutions that work. And one of those is optimizing hormones. We look at, when we balance your estrogen and testosterone, it makes all the difference with arousal, lubrication, and orgasms become much better. Vaginal health. We talked a little bit about lubrication, and estriol is a cream we use a lot for women that have a hard time with lubrication. It helps with that. And as we go through perimenopause and menopause, we just don't have that anymore. We don't produce it. So getting you optimized on that. There's some regenerative treatments such as the VIV, which is radio frequency to kind of help with that vaginal tissue. There's also PRP. We talked about the O shot in another episode, restoring a little bit of that tissue health and sensitivity. Reducing stress. I mean, that's always a big thing, but cortisol competes with sex hormones. And so high stress equals low libido. And, there's a lot of things we can do. Like, there's red light therapy out there for vaginal tissue to help, help with the circulation, and pelvic floor exercises. But there's a lot of good things out there that you can do right now to improve your sex. Prioritizing, intimacy, that connection, talking to your husband, talking to your significant other, talking to your spouse about some of these things, and giving yourself permission to slow down and be present.
Yeah, a lot of times we will hear, I would like to have more sex, but I'm just exhausted all the time. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted, and it's like, oh, let's just go to bed. So that is common. If you experience that, that's how most people live their lives. They just get through the day and they're like, I'd like to spend intimate time with my significant other, but I'm just exhausted. So it's kind of like throw in the towel. Maybe we'll do this later. Yeah. But really taking the time to communicate is one of the biggest things. And with that hormone optimization, it's easier to communicate too, because like Amy said, you slow down a little bit, talk a little more, and then that just leads to that connection. And then when the hormones are balanced, that connection, not just emotionally, but physically, can really take over and really bond a couple together.
It's true. We have to normalize these conversations. It's, for years, women have been told that low libido is just part of aging, or painful sex that's just how it is. That's how it is when you get older. Sex is not supposed to be enjoyed as you get older. And that's not true. It should be
enjoyed always.
That's true.
A lot.
It should get better with time. And, sexual health is health. So when we optimize our hormones, we improve tissue health. We support the mind-body connection. We see women rediscover pleasure, confidence, and connection with their partners. And, sometimes after years of struggling, and, you need to talk with your partner, and it's important to talk. And it was hard for me to talk to Matt sometimes about, some of those intimate details about what things made me feel good. And, but it's important. He wants to know what he's doing right and what he's not doing right. But it's important.
Wait, I was doing something wrong?
But it's important to speak to your partner and, be able to feel, vulnerable.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things we can do is be vulnerable. And as we mature and we get stuck in our ways, I think it gets even harder sometimes. But when we drop the shields and talk, man, it can change things dramatically. One of the things I love the most is when a couple will come in and say, hey, I feel like we're dating again after 15, 25 years, whatever time frame. But they're just like, we just love being together now. Whereas before it's like, get things done, go through a stressful day and go to bed. Now it's spending more quality time together and raising that intimacy level, both physically, mentally, emotionally. And at the end of the day, most people will end up with one significant other at the end of the day. They may have other family members, but as you become empty nesters, all those kids are gone now. And hopefully you have a great intimate relationship with your spouse. Like I said, in multi-fashion approach with physical, emotional, and just that connection, because it's long-term and it's something you don't want to miss out on.
So the takeaway today is basically if your sex drive has changed or orgasms feel harder or, harder to reach, and you're not alone and you're not powerless. And I think you deserve to enjoy intimacy throughout every stage of life. And feeling good in your body includes feeling connected, sensual, and alive. And I know getting your hormones optimized, it worked for me. It helped me completely. It changed my life around. I feel so much better, and I've said this several times, better in my 50s than I did in my 30s, being optimized and feeling alive again.
Yeah. So sometimes, again, it's hard to talk about, but if you drop that barrier, it's the best thing you'll ever do. You'll get connection with your significant other and even confidence and motivation, because I think we lose that over time. Things are more difficult to do. We have the solutions for you.
So check your hormones, get optimized, address your vaginal health, manage stress, talk openly with your partner, because pleasure is part of wellness. It's not just a luxury. So when your hormones, body, and confidence are aligned, intimacy becomes joyful again.
Yeah, don't wait around. Get things checked and get them optimized. Live your best life so you can get that connection back.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us today for Look Good and Feel Good with Matt and Amy. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend. If they needed to hear about sexual health, is important, and it's actually treatable. It's a part of overall wellness. And so that's kind of what we want to pass on to you. And
yeah, we've talked a lot about women in this segment, this podcast, but men, hey, same thing. I know it's hard for us to talk about. It's hard for me to talk about. And luckily I do this, so I kind of talk to myself about it. But I'm able to come up with great solutions. Sometimes it's not just testosterone levels. Sometimes it's blood flow. And that is also very, very fixable. So better erections, better orgasms, getting to where you want to be so you can feel like you're in your prime again.
Until then, keep doing things that make you look and feel good. Thank you.
Thank you.